YouTube, what's happening? Welcome to the College Football Spotlight. So every week, I'm going to have a video that spotlights the top games of each week, and then I'll have a secondary, more laid back, more casual video where we kind of just roll through the rest of the games. That way we can say we touched every game on the schedule. So for the Spotlight, I'm typically going to have anywhere from 6 to 10 games that we'll roll through, with it only being week one and everything's kind of spread out. Tomorrow, I've only identified like 4 games plus the game Sunday plus the game Monday. So we'll do those 6 games in this video. That'll be your Clemson, Georgia, your Penn State, West Virginia, your Miami, Florida, Notre Dame, A&M, for those are tomorrow. And then for Sunday, we'll do USC, LSU. And then Monday, we'll cover the Boston College, Florida State, because a lot of people are talking about that one after how Florida State played. So those are the 6 games we're going to cover in this video. If you want the rest of the games, that'll be in the next video. We'll roll through the rest of them. Now, I'm only going to cover the ones in that video that have actual spreads. If there's no spreads, I mean, I'm talking FCS matchups where everyone can get a line, because some places don't give out lines on FCS. Some do, some don't. I'm not going to cover it. So we'll cover, there's 25 more games to talk about. So we got plenty of things in that video. So for this one, 6 games, let's jump to that first one right now. All right, first game, like I said, it's going to be the noon game. It's going to be Clemson, Georgia, the Aflac kickoff game. Right now, currently on ESPN, it's showing that the spread has dropped from 13.5 to 11.5 for Georgia, which is great if you like the Georgia side, which initially I do, but we're going to dig a little deeper into it, see what we can get. If it's 11.5 now, I can see it getting down to even maybe 10 by kickoff tomorrow morning. I can see that. So let's look a little bit. You can see that it opened up at 13.5 down to 11. It's 47.5, and now it's up to 48.5. So we got that. What we're going to do next is look at their records, because we don't have any stats yet. So Georgia, you can see, was 13-1. Their only loss being in the regular season, of course, to Alabama in the SEC title game. And then Clemson had a 9-4 year, which started off rough, but then got better as the year went on. So looking next at the depth charts, because I like to look at depth charts at the start of the year to see what happened, who's come, who's not, basic things. Georgia typically is not going to have many transfer ins. So having somebody to the likes of Trevor Etienne coming in, that's the brother of the other Etienne in the NFL. He's might gonna play. I looked this up just before I hit record. I had not found any news if he's gonna play or not, so we don't know yet. It's Georgia. They always have a stable of backs out there. This dude was a beast at Florida. Now he's here, and the whole team, you can see they all been there, so they're all new. Nobody else is. Everyone step up, bring those 4 and 5 stars. All right, it's your turn to play. Typical Georgia, just like Bama, LSU, Ohio State, all the other big schools, they do that. So nothing's really different. The main thing we have is Carson Beck. A lot of people think is the best quarterback in the country, Heisman front runner. You have that information there. And then for Clemson's depth chart, Clemson's a fun one because Dabo doesn't believe in the transfer portal. He doesn't do that at all. Not on his watch. So you can see everyone's going to be homegrown Clemson here. So everyone here, no one transferred in, for starters anyways. You have some other ones that either new additions, could be transfers, normal transfers, or freshmen. He didn't go out and spend a bunch of money to get players. So yeah, so everyone's Clemson built and bred there. So looking over at the player screen, I want to look a little bit at Carson Beck real quick, and then we'll also pull up Klubnik, because he's a starter for Clemson, just in case you haven't been paying attention since last year. Klubnik, we can see what his stats were last year. 264, 13, 25, 80, 19-8. Not bad. It wasn't the greatest start for him. If you remember watching these, they weren't good. QBR 55 is 80th in the country. That's not good. You need that QBR to be a little bit higher if you're going to be a top 15 team in the country, especially going up a defense like Georgia's. So, and then Carson Beck is on the other end. His stats were, he had 72% passing, 3,700 yards, 22-6. His QBR was 86, which was 5th in the country. So you have a clear advantage on Georgia when it comes to the actual quarterback here. I don't care what anyone tells you. Beck is way better. So also looking at the matchup screen, my favorite screen to look at. This is my Google sheet I built. I have a whole bunch of data into it that's being spit out, and it gives me this nice little spreadsheet, which throughout the year it'll make a lot more sense. But for now, all we have is 2023 stats and how they rank in the country out of 134 teams. So it's now 134 with Kennesaw State added. So once we have this, I'll start having away, home, how they did in the last game, how they did in the last three, trends, all that will get added eventually. But right now it's just this. So we can see Clemson and Georgia didn't play last week. They were on a bye, obviously week one. Georgia has Tennessee Tech next week. That's going to be a fun matchup for somebody to watch. Clemson has App State. That's cool. That's an actual real game. So we can see what they did last year. Georgia, their passing yards per game were 12th in the country. Third down, they were first in the nation on offense. Their offense was just great. Clemson's was middle of the road. Nothing really stands out on Clemson's offense. Nothing. Everything, your best thing is your seconds per play, which Georgia is one of the slowest teams in the country, clearly at 120th, ranked at 29.2 seconds per play. Basically, that is your pace, how fast you're going to go. So if you want a fast team, you want that number to be closer to 1. If you want a slow team, your military academies, they're going to be closer down here to those. So on the defensive side, they also have all the numbers as well. And a lot of people will say this and be like, well, last year's stats don't matter. They matter to an extent because at least you can see how the team reacted, how the coaching staff worked, things like that matter. They don't matter completely. You can't look at them and say, oh, that's why. I mean, most games you can, but with these two teams, they pretty much have the team you expect. This is the one game where it's like pre-transfer portal. This is what you would get. You would get Clemson with none but Clemson dudes, Georgia with none but Georgia dudes. This makes sense. So Clemson's defense is what carries the team. We know that. Their offense is probably the weakest unit of all 4 units on the field. So I lean Georgia in this one, and I lean it heavily because it has been proven the last couple years. The only team that can beat Georgia is Alabama. They've done it twice. No one else in the regular season has come close to doing it. So, yeah, on top of that, I think Dabo is losing it. I'm just going to say it. He's losing it. I don't know why. He's anti this. He's got hostile with fans now because he don't want them to take any calls on a show now. So I don't know. There's things going on in Clemson that there's things happening. So to me, I'm taking Georgia in this one. I'm taking Georgia to cover the spread. It's 11.5 currently. I might wait until closer in the morning to see what the line actually is going to be, but I'll take it all the way up to 13.5. I'm fine with that. So if I can get 9.5, 10.5, 11, I'll take all of them. So I'm taking Georgia. Total, I'm not going to take a side on. It could be under, but right now at 48.5. I mean, Georgia's offense could. No need to. I'm taking that Georgia spread. We're going to move on to the next game. All right, next up, we have an actual home field game. It's going to be Penn State at West Virginia. Spread opened up at 10.5. Now it's down to 7.5. Total is 15.5. I know there's been a lot of talk online and on videos that they're liking some West Virginia to win the game outright. The hell with covering. We're going to win. That's what they're saying. So, yeah, we'll see. Last year, let's look at some records real quick. Penn State was 10-3, and then West Virginia was 9-4. So pretty much the same, 1 game difference there. So no big deal there. Looking over at the actual depth charts, we're going to look at West Virginia first. We can see there's not many additions there. Nothing really stands out of anyone they got a wide receiver on offense that's going to be starting as a transfer. Transfer junior, and we got another junior transfer corner, and then a second corner that's a senior transfer. So nothing really stands out there. The quarterback is Garrett Green, and if we want to look at him real quick, we can. We'll look at the chart for Penn State first. Penn State, they didn't have anybody either, so no one really stood out. A right tackle junior transfer, Julian Fleming, that's probably the biggest name of all the transfers in this game, so that's probably the biggest deal. So let's pop over to the actual player screen, and we can look at Drew first. 25-2. I mean, pretty good game. Good game. Pretty good season. You can't complain. 26-31, 73.7 QBR, 26. That's what you want, a top 10 team. You want somebody who's going to be up there in those numbers. So looking at his stats from last year, we can look at him. 61.3, 2,300, 23, and 1. That was his last year, and overall, you can see with his postseason 2 included, he's been pretty good. Cannot complain. Looking at Garrett Green for West Virginia, We can see his stats, what he has done. This is his 5th season at West Virginia, and he has slowly been building up. It's going to be a second full-time year starting. Last year was 2,100, 15-4, only a set. I mean, I say only 75.8 QBR, 20th. It's actually better than Penn State. Yeah, 16-4. I mean, quarterbacks to me are pretty equal. You do get more touchdowns with old Drew here because the last year was 23-1, but I mean, it's going to be in West Virginia. Hostile environments do matter a lot. So let's look a little deeper at the matchup first based on last year's stats. So last year, neither one played anything yet last week. We can see on the stats, 34 points versus 29. This is a pretty close matchup. The thing that stands out the most has got to be the rushing yards per game for West Virginia. They were able to run the ball pretty good last year. Penn State's rushing defense, though, yeah, #1 in the country last year. Penn State's defense was nasty last year. Let's just be honest. I mean, total yards a game was 256. The rushing yards was first. Points allowed was 14th. And you could even pass on them. They were 181. Third down was 31%. That defense was nasty. Do they lose some of it? Yes, of course. Every team loses something, but you're going to keep close to the same. You're not going to just fall off a cliff. Not in football, not with 11 guys on the field. It doesn't happen that way. So it's just like if you're terrible, like we watched in Colorado last night. Colorado's defense was absolutely abysmal last year. We know this. They were slightly better last night because the D-line looked a little bit better. A lot of people said that online. They looked better. They did. Now, the secondary had wide open holes out there, and that's how North Dakota State was able to exploit them. But I mean, it's the first game of the season. You're gonna mess up occasionally. You get better throughout the year, typically. So Penn State's defense is nasty. It's just gonna be nasty again. I don't care. It might not be the top 3 numbers, but it's still gonna be 10, 15, 20 in the country, guaranteed. Not worried about that. So West Virginia, you can see they're in the middle of the pack because there's 134 teams. That means 67 is the middle point now. That's 67 right there, middle of the road. 67 twice, 69, middle of the road. Offense for Penn State, 60th in yards. And they're both kind of slow. So the only thing, the total is 50.5. I kind of want to lean under because I think the defense here from Penn State, along with both teams being pretty slow when it comes to getting plays in, under 50.5, maybe even 51 if we get there, would be a great number to get. So I know a lot of people are going to be taking that Penn State, but Morgantown's such a hard place to play. I mean, it's got to be one of the hardest places out there. So if it was a night game, it'd be scarier, but it's a day game. I mean, yeah, I think for this play, my official play is going to be under in this one. It's currently 50.5. If I can get 51, anything higher, I'll take that. But if not, I'll stick at 50.5. But we'll see. I'll tweet out the official number closer to game time. So under in this one. Let's move on to the next game. All right, third game we're going to spotlight is going to be Miami and Florida. Got to do it. Rivalry game is going to be in the swamp. The spread opened up at 2.5, and it's still 2.5 because it isn't moving at all. 54.5 was the total, and that's where it is now. Nothing is moving in this game, and there's been a lot of action on this game. I know there has been. So let's dig a little deeper, shall we? Let's look at the records first. Since it's week 1, we'll do that. We can see that Florida was a smooth 5-7 last year. Not a good year. Florida has the hardest schedule in the country this year. If you just go based on looking at teams and thinking, oh, that team is good. Yeah, Florida's got a gauntlet, the hardest schedule in most people's opinions. Probably mine too. I looked at it and said, ooh, I feel bad. So let's come down to Miami. Miami, what you got? You were 7-6 last year. I mean, not too much better. And look, remember, they gave one of those wins away to Georgia Tech because Cristobal forgot what kneeling the ball meant. Somehow, some way, then Georgia Tech won the game. I mean, Dion about pulled the same thing last night too. So you watched it. Why are you throwing on first down when the clock was under 2 minutes? Run the ball. You ain't trying to score. You're trying to run the clock. Whatever. Anywho, so pop over here to the depth charts. Let's look. First off, we got Florida. Obviously, lost Etienne to Georgia. That's a big loss, obviously, but they got Graham Mertz back. I mean, to be honest, that's probably the best thing for him is to get the quarterback who's consistently was good last year, get him back. So they got a couple wide receivers out there for him now. A few defensive transfers came in. One was a grad transfer. Outside of that, we pop over to Miami. I mean, the biggest news of this game is going to be Cam Ward. Cam Ward came to Miami, a senior transfer. Outside of that, transferred Sam Brown. Got a few on defense that transferred in. But it's Cam Ward. That's what everybody cares about. So let's pop over and look at Cam Ward's stats. Cam Ward came from Wazoo. We can see what he did. The last 2 years at Wazoo, 3,000 and 3,700, 23 and 8, 25 and 7. His QBR is 50th. I wish it would be a little bit higher, but hey, what can you do? So Washington State was behind a lot, so he had to do a lot of throwing, hence the 465 and 485 attempts. Dude was chucking the ball a lot in Washington State. And on the other side, you have Graham Mertz, Captain Check down here. He will straight up, his air yards are not high, but he's going to be accurate. Because you can see what he has done all his years at Wisconsin, his last year at Florida, 72.9%, 2,900, 20 touchdowns, 3 picks. It was not the prettiest game to watch him play, but I mean, he would just 5 yards at a time and let the guys do their job, let them work, and it worked out well. I mean, they only went 5-7, but it worked out good enough. So saw that. Let's look at the matchup from the stats point. So we got here. Neither team played last week, so both on a bye. Neither team has anybody impressive. Samford and Florida A&M. Ooh, hard games next week, so he ain't got a look-ahead opponent. So statistic-wise, Miami's a little tough because you do have Cam Ward come in, so you would assume they would be able to have a better offense. I mean, I don't know if it's going to help speed up anything, so they're probably still going to be fairly slow on offense, but passing was 47. I expected to go up some. I don't know about how much, by a little bit, though. So points, they're at 30.1. I don't know if Cam Ward makes that big a deal on the point part. I can see them doing this because they're balanced. They're 47th in pass and 48 in rush. So, I mean, talk about being balanced. Overall in rankings, Florida, you can see what they did. Third down offense was terrible. If you're in the hundreds, it just isn't good. They're both very slow. This feels like one of those games. It might be 17-14 going into the fourth quarter. Something seriously low scoring. So almost like Minnesota Carolina was last night. I expected points. I thought Minnesota could move the ball. No, they could not. That vaunted Carolina defense stepped up and shut them down. So yeah, I'd be surprised. So, and Miami's defense was pretty good against the rush. They were 16th, pass, third down. You can see the numbers are pretty good on defense. Florida's defense, I mean, had a lot to be desired. They were just not the best. And penalties, Miami gives up penalties. So to me, looking back at what the total and the spreads are, 54.5 and 2.5. I don't know which side I want. I don't trust either side. I'm just going to throw it out there. I don't trust either one because I don't know if I don't trust Cam Ward. I need to see how he plays against in the swamp. I mean, Washington State and others, your hardest away game is what? Oregon? Yeah, Oregon's loud as hell. I get it, but the swamp is its own creature. I mean, ugh. So I want to see what you do in your first game. So for me, I'm going to play it safe. I say safe. I mean, is any bet really safe? But I mean, the under feels right to me. These aren't high scoring teams. You can see last year they were very slow teams at scoring. So at seconds per play. So I'm going to take that under 54.5. And like I said, it feels like a 17-14-ish going to the fourth quarter. If I get that, beautiful. I'll take that, especially with overtime rules changed a couple years ago to where now you're going for 2 a lot. I ain't worried about overs that much hitting on under. So I'm going to take that under 54.5 and move on to the next game. All right, for the last Saturday game, we're going to head over to College Station. We got Notre Dame, Texas A&M. Got to talk about this one a little bit. Elko making his coaching debut. New A&M regime. Goodbye, Jimbo. You're gone. You're getting paid $1 billion to go not coach. Love that. We can see that it opened at 1 for A&M. Now it's up to 3. I saw 2.5 as of a few hours ago, Friday afternoon. So depends on where you look, you can get the right number out there. It was 48.5. Now it's down to 46.5. So some money's been coming in on that under, which I mean, historically on A&M games, I mean, that makes sense, right? So look a little closer. Record-wise, we see Notre Dame went 10-3 last year, and then Texas A&M, we come down, we see that they went 7-6 last year. Highlight those so we can see the records based on what they've done. Now, on the depth chart, we can see for Notre Dame, they brought in a handful of starters. It's Notre Dame. You're going to have your academics qualifications you got to hit. You can't just bring everybody in. So the main one that made me scratch my head as soon as it was announced, I just didn't get it, was Riley Leonard. I like Riley Leonard. I liked what he was at Duke. I mean, I know he got hurt a good bit last year, didn't play the whole season. I get it. I get it. But he runs a lot. He ran, I mean, let me just pop up his player screen real quick. Look at this. This is his 3 years at Duke. He threw for 2,800, 20 and 6, sure, but last year 165, 1,100, 3 and 3, but he ran 114 times in 22, and he ran 58 times last year. He didn't play all that much last year. I don't know if I saw Sam Hartman run the ball once last year. I don't recall him doing that. So are they going to make Riley Leonard be a pure pocket passer and not run the ball? Or are they going to adjust the offense completely and let him do his running? This didn't make sense. It didn't fit to me. I don't know why. I don't get it. I probably will be wrong, but I don't see why they went and got him of all quarterbacks, because he's good, but I don't see how it fits the offense. So anyways, but you can see what he did. 72.2 QBR, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks, only 1,100 yards. Yeah, he had a rough year, banged up. Yeah, got it. So, all right, let's pop back over here to the depth charts. Let's go over to A&M, and we see they brought in a whole bunch of transfers to start. They have 9 new transfer starters that are starting for them now. That's a lot. So the biggest thing is Wegman is now officially a starter. We can pop back here. We can look at Wegman stuff and see what he has done. His QBR was way higher, 87.2, but he didn't play all that much. 119, 132 in 2 years, 8 touchdowns both times. He doesn't run like that, so you don't have to worry about that. So we'll see how he does when he has the full reins the whole season of the team. So let's pop over to matchup, look at some stats, see what we got. Next week, neither team played anybody last week. Double buys. A&M has McNeese State next week, and Notre Dame has Northern Illinois. So neither team has a challenge to look ahead to next week. So looking at numbers, Notre Dame was at 37.8 points per game. Meanwhile, A&M was at 32.9 points per game. So that's a high scoring game right there. But the defenses were actually pretty good too. Notre Dame was at 3rd in pass defense. That's not good for Wegman. And A&M was 14th in rush and 19th in overall defense. Notre Dame, you can see the defenses are good. Offenses the points were good, but the stats weren't as good. They're both kind of slow, 85 and 108. Makes me want to take it under automatically. I'm going to go heavily on that seconds per play this year. It's kind of like, if you're a fast-paced team, I expect you to get points quicker, right? That's what you should do, but we'll see how that works. This one's just hard. It's just a hard play. There's one key stat that I saw. Let me see. They didn't have it on the depth chart here, but it was rumored. Let me see if it's on here. It is on here, isn't it? Yep, there it is. Notre Dame's left tackle is a true freshman. I forgot all about that till just now. It hit me who we're talking about. You have a left tackle starting against SEC line. That's not good. He might be a beast, but how often you see a true freshman and left tackle just dominate a game? That concerns me. That concerns me for Riley Leonard. I know he's going to run some, but I just don't see it. I don't understand it. I don't know. I lean the under, but I also lean A&M because A&M's line is just, I mean, there's some freak athletes on this line. I mean, all those 4 and 5 stars they hoarded all them years, and then now they're finally getting to do their thing. Yeah. And you get Elko's defensive mind. Oh yeah, no. No, I was on the fence. I think I just talked myself into it. I'm taking A&M -3. If you can get 2.5, get that. I'll put the official number on Twitter before the game when I actually lock in the official bets. I like to see the line movement. I like to see where it goes. Under 46.5 seems kind of low, but I might go with it anyway. But I am going to take the 3 for A&M, and we'll move on to the next game. All right, for the 5th game, we're going to pop over to Sunday. We're going to talk about the USC LSU game because it's the Modelo Vegas kickoff game. This should be fun. It opened up at LSU -6. Now it's LSU -4. 62.5. Now it's 64.5. And I expected it to be higher, to be honest. So let's look a little closer. Let's look at the record from last year. That's what we've been doing. So we can see, Where's USC? Down here in the U's probably up. They were 8-5 last year. With that, even though that defense was terrible, they're still 8-5. LSU, same story, different uniform. 10-3 though. They did a little bit better on winning games. Their defense stepped up just enough for them to be better. So let's pop over to the depth charts. That's what I want to see, because first thing is USC. Yeah, Miller Moss has won the job. That was announced. So he is the starting quarterback. I still think we see him come in some. Jaden will play some because I just think he will. So, but Miller Moss is a starter. No one else is really a transfer except for Woody Marks. Now, defense, they do have some transfers. The biggest one that stood out to me that is just Greedy Vance. I mean, I've always loved the name Greedy Vance. Greedy, come on, he's a corner. Oh, love it. So you can see that. Let's pop over to LSU, see what they got. Nussmeier's the starter, to no one's surprise. We knew that was coming. They got a couple transfers, not many for LSU. I figured they have more, but they have a few, and three of them are starting. So one's a wide receiver, nose tackle, and a free safety. Cool. Let's look at the players. The main thing we want to look at is quarterbacks, probably. So let's do that. Miller Moss, here you go. There he is. If you didn't know what he looked like, there you go. So junior, look at stats, his history, 3 years at USC, 74, 159, 309. Hasn't played too much. He's only thrown 92 total passes, but I mean, QBR still 97.3, pretty good. Usually backup time, so nothing stands out. Looking at Garrett Nussmeier, see what he has done. His stats, he has played a little bit more, but still, I mean, he were behind the Heisman winner last year. He weren't going to play much unless it was a blowout, and the defense wouldn't let it be a blowout. So you didn't get that much playing time at all. Sorry. So, and he's not a runner at all. 7 total carries in his career. Miller Moss, 10 total carries. So these two dudes are going to drop back, launch it. That's what they're going to do. That's what you would expect. And if we pop over to the stats and just look around a little bit, you see there's a lot of triple digits on both defenses, and that ain't what you want to see when both quarterbacks are going to step back and launch the ball, is what they're going to do. So it might be a long day. That's what I said. 64.5 might be way too low. I just don't see it. The offensive philosophies haven't changed. Yes, the quarterbacks changed. Yeah, it was the number 1 and 2 picks in the draft. I get that. Sure. But who's to say that it's just the system and not the quarterback? I mean, Lincoln Riley's produced how many Heisman's now? It's the system that makes it so good. LSU, I mean, 1 and 2 in points, 41, 43. Do the points stay up by the end of the season? Maybe, but against each other? I mean, this seems like a 42-42 type shootout going into overtime on Sunday. It's the game of the day. It's the only game on. Everyone's watching it, and they're just going to go back and forth. I would be shocked if they didn't. So for me, the play is simple. I'm taking the over. It's 64.5 right now. I'll take it like that. I am so confident in this one. I'll take that bad boy all the way up to 70. I wouldn't care. I can easily see both quarterbacks scoring 5, or both teams scoring 5 touchdowns. So I am taking the over in this one. I don't care who wins the game, but over for sure, 100%. It's at 64.5. I'll look for the best number before the game. I'll tweet that out, obviously. But over in this one, we're moving to the next game. All right, last game of the spotlight. We got to go to Boston College, Florida State. So we can see it open at 21.5, but it's dropped to 16.5. I mean, come on, based on what happened last week, that's why. We know why. 51.5 totals, but opened it. Now it's at 49.5. So things are changing. Looking over at the record, we can see Boston College went 7-6 last year. We're not going to look at Florida State because we already watched them play a game. Same with the depth chart. We don't need to go too deep here. So Boston College, they have 2 starter transfers there. Defense is all Boston College bred, so they've all been in the system at least 1 year now. So you can see all that. Looking at the player screen, Thomas Castellanos has been named a starter. You can see what he's done. No surprise, he was the man last year. 2,100, 15 and 13. 13's a little rough, but I mean, you're going to chuck the ball around. It's going to happen occasionally. He also ran 194 times last year for almost 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns. So dude can do both. That might spell problems for Florida State. So matchup. Looking at this, we actually have info for Florida State because they are 0-1. On offense, they got 21 points, 193 yards, passing, 98 rushing, 291 total. They were 41% on third down, and they were going 31.2 seconds per play, which The ranks are based on 2023's category, not just 2024. Rankings will be updated for next week when everyone plays a game, because everyone's playing except Ball State for some weird reason. I don't know why they wanted to wait till next week, but hey, whatever. So the rankings do not reflect 2024. Defensively, we saw, I mean, defense was still pretty good, even though they lost the game to Georgia Tech. The rushing defense, allowed 190, wasn't the best, but they held, yeah, you can see the numbers. So just not the not the best numbers. I'll put it that way. So um, overall, looking at 2023 numbers for Boston College, 24 points. Pass and rush are about balanced. 26 seconds. They were a bunch of middle. They could run the ball. They were 15th running in the whole country. Looking at rushing defense was not good last year. Pass defense was better. Points, they only allowed 28. Yeah, not the best, pretty average. I think a lot of people are taking Boston College because they think they're going to just throw the ball over the field and Florida State will have a hard time. Well, I mean, last year they were pretty decent when it came to pass defense at 16th. So, and they only get 146 to Georgia Tech, who, I mean, do that what you will. So I, for one, think this line's 16.5. I don't, I mean, it's at, yeah, it's going to be in Florida State too. I actually lean Florida State. I think having one game already under the belt's a good thing. You lost, you get to fix things. It's 16.5. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll say it right now. I do not trust DJU for anything. I don't think he's that great of a court. To be honest, you're on your third school for a reason. You're on your third school for a reason. You didn't go to Michigan State because the coach didn't want you there. We just know this. So no hate though. I mean, that's what it is. It is what it is. It's politics. So, and whatnot. Coaches want what they want, and he wanted the backup. Cool. Childs is now there. So, for DJU, Florida's, Boston College has seen them before. They know all this. Just 49.5. I don't want to take that. I mean, probably it feels like a slow game again. It just feels, because you see how slow Florida State played. It feels low. I feel like I should take the under. Yeah, I'm not going to take 16.5. I'm gonna fade the offenses again. I'm going to take the under 49.5 in this one. It's a key number. I'll do that. We'll take the under and call it a day right there. All right, that's it. That's all 6 games broken down based on. It's hard to break games down when you don't have stats. That's my thing. This is all vibes, depth charts, 2023 stats. Eye test, it's a lot of hard. Week 1 is hard. You basically have no information. So, but we try to do it anyway because it's week 1. It's football. We're betting it. Yes, it's fun. It's amazing. So, on top of that, we'll see. I'm going to try to look at the rest of the games to see if there's going to be a video or not. If there is, it will be the rest of the week 1. If not, it'll just be this video here. I do appreciate you watching. All the plays are in the video. If you want to type that list of plays, Patreon, Discord, become a YouTube member, they all get that feature. Otherwise, plays are in the video. They're always free every day. They'll never charge for them. I charge for convenience. If you want to not watch the video, hey, no problem. I got you. So you can do that. Drop in the comments who you're playing tomorrow and Sunday and Monday in your games, in case I'm missing something, or you put out a play I might like, I might actually tail it. So hey, there we go. On top of that, like I said, I appreciate being here. Drop a like, subscribe. Hopefully we all end up green, and we will see you in the next video.